Hello, hello, hello. This is Dad Jokes, and I am joined here by Brandon, and we have a special guest that's going to join us later today, Brandon. So I'm excited for our episode today. What about you?
I'm super excited. This guest got a shout out a couple episodes ago. Met him, I think, because of you, Jerry, and within the last year and a half, and it's a nice guy.
Yeah, I mean, you have most of your friends because of me. I agree. So that
Yeah,
makes sense.
exactly.
Exactly. So, Brandon, we're going to kick off the show with a dad joke. The great thing about having guests on the show is we don't only get two dad jokes, we get multiple dad jokes. So I'm excited for that. But mine today, are you ready?
I'm waiting with bated breath, Jerry.
What do you call a sad cranberry?
Sad cranberry, sadberry.
A blueberry. Yeah, it
That's
was
okay.
subtle. It was nice,
It's
but it was
okay.
I thought it
It
was
snuck up
classic.
on you.
It
Snuck up
does.
on you.
It does. It makes sense once it's said.
Yeah.
Also, I do want to point out, Brandon, if you're listening to us and you're one of our loyal listeners and it sounds a little different today, we had to pull an audible right from the get. We our normal recording platform had some issues, so we are on a different platform. So I'm not really sure if it's going to sound different or not. We'll find out. But if it sounds slightly different, that's not on purpose. Just bear with us because we're making it work.
We do what we got to do.
Yes, we do. So, Brandon, what's been going on in the Banks household since the last time we talked?
So we've recorded a couple times this week, which normally we're once a week with a couple in the can, but we played a little catch up. So from the last time we talked, Bryce is a little bit older. He's almost 10 weeks old, and the big thing this week is just watching his kind of his head motion. He's definitely recognizing my wife a lot more than me too. It's kind of annoying. I'm not gonna lie. But he'll like follow her completely around the room. He gets like this smile on his face when he sees people he recognizes. He does smile for me a lot, and I feel like I can start. I know how to manufacture the smiles a little bit. So we're getting a lot more of those that social interaction, which is cool. It doesn't just seem like he's smiling because he's farting. Um,
Well, you did FaceTime me yesterday, Brandon, and I don't think smiling is what I would use as describing what Bryce was doing when he FaceTimed me.
Well, Jerry, I make everything sound great because it is 95% of the time, but you are T minus like 2 weeks away from from your little one coming. And I wanted you to see just in the heat of the moment what a crying, fussing baby looks like. So you got a quick 5 second clip of Bryce going hard, and he had just eaten. He had just got his diaper changed. Had no idea why I was crying. He got over it. We were good.
I do appreciate that you show me all the super positive things about fatherhood. You know, you also sent me a picture earlier in the week of him crying as well. So thanks for sharing all the good moments with
That
his
was a
Uncle
cute
Jerry.
picture. It was
It,
funny.
it was a pretty good. He's a pretty good crier. He really gets into it. So
You
I
need to
like it.
be there for that to think that a little bit more.
So yeah, the Oleski household since the last time we talked, we are, as you just mentioned, Brandon, exactly T minus 2 weeks away. So it's just waiting right now. We're sitting around. I know Macy's getting more and more uncomfortable as the days go on, and we're ready. Rereading a lot of my books, different things about pre-labor, active labor, what to do, how to help, what we can accomplish, before we go into the hospital, and then what's going to happen when we're there. But mostly, it's just waiting. I did get one thing today, thanks to my mom. She got us a little gift. It was a Snuggle Me, which I know that both the guests, or you, Brandon, and our guest, are a big fan of. So we got that today sitting in the nursery. So one more thing that we needed, of course, because we only have 755 things. So I'm
That's one of
sure
those things you're gonna use.
we're
It's
going to need.
clutch.
So actually, I'm excited about that one. So if you guys haven't looked up the Snuggle Me, a lot of people are big fans of it, including, like I said, both people on the show today with me. So speaking of on the show with us today, we have a guest. Our guest today is none other than Mr. Ryan Watz, a good friend of mine. And Ryan, why don't you introduce yourself to the people?
How's it going, gentlemen?
It's
It's an
going good,
honor.
buddy. It's good to have you here.
It's an absolute honor. I was joking around with Jerry, telling him at the very beginning I needed a guest appearance. I'm pretty upset it has taken this long, but no. So recently, my wife and I had a baby, a little girl. Her name is Esther. Esther Lynn, actually. named after my wife's late grandmother. She actually just turned 12 weeks this past Wednesday, and it's been an absolute blast. I wouldn't trade a second of it.
That's pretty awesome, man. Yeah, it's been kind of cool seeing both of you guys go through kind of the early journeys of fatherhood. So, Ryan, one thing that I love to ask people, one of my favorite questions to ask people is, what has surprised you most about being a dad?
Obviously, going into it, I knew it was going to be a lot of work, but to be completely honest, it's more work than I ever thought it would be. The constant round the clock need that infant actually requires is astounding.
Yeah, no, I can. Well, I can only imagine, Brandon. I think you can probably attest to that.
Jerry doesn't have any idea, Ryan. But
he give it
I'll
2 weeks when he's
I'll
running
learn
on
real
adrenaline.
yeah,
He's going to be running on adrenaline for 48 hours, and after that 48-hour window, that's when that first wall hits.
Well,
so
that's when I
Ryan,
come to you, Ryan, because you actually work for Red Bull, so that's when I come to you and personally make a visit to the Watts household.
That's pretty
Hey,
great.
hey, I made the appearance for the wedding and brought everybody Red Bull. I can do the same for new dads too.
Exactly. Instead of dropping off, food or casseroles and stuff like people do in movies, just drop off cases of Red Bull at both our houses. That'll be
We
great.
got to drop the video and get some product placement.
Exactly. Yeah, we need to get sponsored by Red Bull. Make that happen, Ryan. Okay.
I'll
Dad
do the
joke
very
sponsored
best.
by Red Bull.
Clutch. So Ryan, I'm squarely. I think I know what Jerry's having. I'm gonna cut to the chase. What are Jerry and Macy having? Boy or girl?
They're having a boy.
Oh, that's not the answer I was expecting.
Nah, they're having a boy. Jerry's a very get what he wants type of person, type of guy. And let's be honest. I mean, he says he doesn't have a preference, but he's a man. He wants a boy there.
I like it. Brandon thinks I'm having a boy too. So, and I've been feeling boy. Macy's been feeling boy. So that's why we're probably all wrong. And it's going to be a little girl, but I'm honestly 100% good with either. We want both. So that'll be exciting. But Ryan, one of the main reasons we wanted you on the show today is because our topic, I guess, if you will, for today is traveling with newborns or young children. And this is something that some fathers don't experience for a very long time, but it's something that you've kind of already had a lot of experience with. I would call you an expert in this area, at least with the three of us for sure. So where have you been already with Essie in the short amount of time that she's been in this world?
So the first trip that we actually took was shortly after she was born. I was a best man in a wedding in Pennsylvania. So she was 3 weeks old, and we loaded her up into the car and took a road trip, went down, hit the turnpike, and an 8-hour drive turned into 12 really quick. And then shortly after that, we went ahead and flew down to Florida, and we were in Orlando at a resort for a week with my in-laws, soaking up as much sunshine as possible. And we went up to I think we went up to Houghton Lake or something like that one of the weekends as well. But three trips here in a short amount of time for her. And one thing my wife and I kind of told each other when we decided to have kids was we didn't want to stop doing the thing that we love the most, and that was traveling with each other. So it was kind of one of those things where Essie didn't have a choice. She was just getting thrown into the mix.
She's part of the Watts crew already, traveling everywhere, huh? I think you guys don't you guys have a trip planned outside the country coming up too? Or, am I right in that?
Not necessarily coming up. It's still about 10 months away.
Oh, okay.
We just planned a trip actually to go to Cabo for 10 days next August. So we're really looking forward to that.
And you mentioned that the 8-hour trip turned a little bit into a 12-hour trip. Was that a little bit of traffic, a lot of bit of Essie, or vice versa?
That was zero traffic and a lot of bit of Essie. And to be honest with you, she wasn't fussy or upset or anything on the way down there. It was simply because my wife, bless her soul, is breastfeeding. So, you can't really just feed her a bottle while she's in her car seat and drive down the road. You have to pull over. You have to physically situate yourself, and then let her eat. After you let her eat, you have to burp her, you have to change her. So it's not just a quick 15-minute stop. It's every couple hours you're stopping for an hour. And, you break that down into 4 different stops, you get 4 extra hours.
Yeah. And
Really
what would
quickly.
you say that, thus far with traveling multiple times, what have you learned are the things that you desperately need to do or to help prepare for it? And what are the things that you desperately don't need to do?
So the most important thing of what you need to do is plan ahead, make a list, prepare yourself for what you need to pack and what you need to take. Because for a 3-day road trip to Pennsylvania, we loaded up the car, and I'm not kidding you. We had stuff in the passenger seat next to me. We had stuff in the back seat on my wife's lap, and we had stuff in the back of our Blazer. Like, it was absolutely packed. There's so much stuff that you have to take to actually take care of your child when you're gone that you don't even think of until you actually physically load it in the car. Speaking of the Snuggle Me, that was one thing that we were very adamant on when she was born. It was very helpful. So having to load that along with the bassinet and everything else into the car is not ideal.
Was there anything you packed that maybe you didn't need, like that you packed and then you got there and you're like, why do we bring this?
To be honest with you, we kind of learned it on our first trip was there's really no need to pack diapers because you're going to need diapers. You have to pack a small amount of diapers, but just buy a big thing of diapers when you're there, or what you think you're going to need for the week, for the 4 or 5 days that you're there, because it just takes up a ton of room in your suitcase and your carry-on, whatever it may be. Like I said, pack 5, 6, whatever you think you need to get there, and then buy regular diapers or whatever you need for the rest of the time that you're there, because it just takes up so much room.
So you've traveled too by air and by car long distances. Do you prefer one over the other, or is there kind of like pros and cons to both, or what would you say about that?
I would personally prefer to continue to travel through air. First of all, it's a lot less time to get to your destination generally. And then second of all, it's just a lot less responsibility falls on you other than making sure you can get to the flight on time. The one stressful thing about traveling through the airport and stuff, though, is when you're going through security. You don't really realize it, but usually you have your stroller, your car seat, all the extra stuff with you, and all that stuff has to go through and get examined before you can make it through. So you're trying to carry a baby, you're trying to load the stroller onto the belt, you're trying to put the diaper bag up there, you're trying to put the breast milk up there, or not, what am I looking for? The
Diaper
whatever.
bag.
Yeah, diaper bag, and then everything else that you have to bring for them has to get checked through security as well. So there's just 20 other things that have to be loaded, and then you have to regather, resituate, and then go to your actual, flight.
So it's probably important to get to the airport a little bit earlier than you
Oh,
normally would.
most definitely. Yeah.
Did you guys look up any resources or use any sources of information before you traveled to kind of help you along with doing it first?
Yeah. So obviously we had never traveled with anybody but ourselves and, other grown people. But one thing that we looked up was we heard that, babies and all their stuff travel for free, which is true. So you take diaper bag, if it's got breast milk in it, it flies for free. Your stroller flies for free. Your car seat flies for free. The baby doesn't need a ticket, obviously. It's like any other thing, like going to a ball game, a baby doesn't need a ticket, it just sits on your lap. But we didn't really know that. So we were thinking that we were in for a whole bunch of additional expenses. And then we got in contact with the airline, and from what I understand, all airlines honor that, not just specific ones.
That's pretty cool. I will speak for myself here. I give you guys a lot of props because since a young age, way before I even really, thought about being a father, flying with a newborn baby gives me great anxiety, not because like it's ever bugged me or bothered me anyway, but just because I'm someone who, like if a baby's crying and you're near friends or family or at home, it's one thing, but like if you're on an airplane, I feel like it just gives me a great source of anxiety. So when people do it, I always look at them and honestly feel like, man, great for them. That's good, because for me, I feel like I'd be stressed beyond max.
And I'm almost the exact opposite. It's like I'm looking around waiting for somebody to say something to me about my kid crying.
Brandon, I feel you, because and Jerry, to relate to that, one of the worst travel stories I have actually was we were traveling with my father-in-law and mother-in-law. We were going to Mexico, and there was a kid. He was 4 or 5 years old, and he was behind my father-in-law, and he just kept kicking his seat the whole way. So we're on a 3.5 hour flight, and like I look over, and we're both sitting in the aisle seats. So I'm on one aisle, he's on the other. I look over and he looks at me and he just grabs his head, covers his ears and shakes his head and just tries to fall asleep. And I felt so bad. But fortunately, I don't know if it was just an infant thing. Like Essie was an angel on the flight. Like as we were taking off, my wife was feeding her, because they say that that's supposed to help with like her ears popping and stuff, like us chewing gum. And she ate and she fell asleep, and it was like a 2-hour flight. She woke up about 15 minutes before we were about to land, and my wife was feeding her again. And I don't know if we just got lucky, but I wasn't really stressed out, but I know for a fact my wife was. I'm just so carefree, and my wife is just like to a T, things planned out and always worrying. So I know a lot of it fell on her, and bless her soul.
When you guys were planning the flight, did you potentially take into account like Essie's, like I know Bryce has a period of time basically before 5 o'clock where he's pretty great. And then after 5 o'clock, he's still great, but you may run into like a couple hour period where you might catch some tears and catch a little attitude. Did you guys try to plan the flight around what you thought her kind of the good window was?
Yeah. So she's definitely got a witching hour as well. And it's a very similar time after 5 o'clock. At 5 p.m., she is a completely different baby, and she is just fed up with everything, and she just wants a bath and she wants bed.
She's Jack from The Incredibles.
Yeah, just angry, man. But yeah, I mean, we had early flights, so the worst part was really just having to get her out of bed at like 3 a.m. so we could get to the airport with plenty enough time to get through security. We just felt so bad, that was our first time doing that. But yeah, we definitely took into consideration her cranky hours.
Nice. Well, to get off travel just for a second, Ryan, you obviously, Brandon has a boy. You mentioned that you think that Macy and myself are going to have a boy. So why don't you tell us why being a girl dad is the best, though?
And to be completely honest, I was totally team boy. Just like I said, most men are. But the first time that I had laid eyes on her, yeah, and I'm sure it was the same way for Brandon having a boy, but like the amount of love and care that you have for something is absolutely incredible. Like Ryan Reynolds actually said, he's like, oh, I love my wife to death, but like as soon as my baby was born, I would have used my wife's body to block bullets. He's not kidding.
I remember that. Yeah,
I've never heard that quote.
Yeah, so
this laughter does not mean I'm confirming that.
Hey, Kelsey, watch out! Watch out!
But what having a little girl, man, it really just puts things into perspective. Knowing that she's gonna grow up and she may have to deal with males that were like myself up until a certain age, is a little frightening, and it really makes you appreciate everything that women actually endure through life, not just pregnancy.
Yeah, for sure. So how many shotguns have you bought already?
I don't have any, to be honest with you, but
you got some time.
Yeah, I might need to look into one of those.
So Ryan, I know that Brandon and myself are both what we call baby gear nerds. We love some baby gear. What's probably your favorite piece of baby gear that you guys own?
Oh man, My favorite piece probably has to be the butt spatula.
Butt spatula. You're the second person that said that. That's great.
That's
I know,
amazing.
I know, I know. I'm telling you right now, and I'm almost positive, Jerry, that was one thing that Kaylee bought you guys. I
Oh, we
might be
have them. We
mistaken.
have them in different
I,
stations around the house,
we had,
Ryan.
I think we had 4 or 5 of them. One in the diaper bag, one out in the living room, one in our bedroom, and one in her nursery. So like 4 of them for sure.
I
But
like
the
it.
big and I going back to a former episode, Brandon, he's like, oh yeah, stuff like that doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me either. But I'll tell you this, like, it's just a lot more convenient than I ever thought it was gonna be.
I haven't used it yet, so I might. The as you know, being you're a couple weeks ahead of us, the poop gets a lot larger, and that smell is starting to hit you a little bit more. It was cute. We went from some like little cute poops to like he's having some grown man poops going on right now, like filling the diaper up. Had a first blowout the other day. Yeah, that spatula might get some use.
Yeah, that's the other thing about being a girl dad too. Like as men, a lot of us have this false reality of like, oh, girls don't poop. Nah, bro. They do just as much, maybe
They
even
do.
more.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's funny. Literally, when our former guest Nick Schumer was on the show, he mentioned that it was that day. I was like researching, like, okay, I gotta find this. And we, like you said, Ryan, I think we've probably got 6 or 7 of them, and they're all in convenient locations. Like if there's a changing pad, there's a spatula with it. We're ready to rock and roll. And Macy doesn't care at all. That's strictly for dad because she don't care. What she deals with as a nurse is 1,000 times worse. Like changing diapers, nothing. And your wife's a nurse as well, so she's probably the same way. But for me, that ain't my forte.
You'll be surprised. I think what you'll be able to deal with. You probably still use a butt spatula, but
Yeah, you'll get over it, but you're just going to do it more like scientifically, Brandon. We'll have a process to it. You know me, I'll have some spreadsheets telling me what's the best way to change a diaper and how much time and what time of the day I need to do what. So
you're going to be timing Macy versus you to see which one of you guys
oh, yeah. Be like, wow, that took you 47 seconds. It took me 32. Yeah, then I'll get volunteered to do more. So
you're going to lose.
Yeah,
just for the record.
The problem is women change a poopy diaper faster than we change just a regular diaper. Like it's reality, man. I thought I was better at it. One of the most difficult things for me wasn't even diapers. It was just getting her dressed. Like getting clothes on a child is so tricky.
Yeah, I
that's
think
because they're doing the stanky leg the whole time.
Brandon, you said double zipper. Well, I think you and Kelsey both say what is it? Double zipper onesies or what's the best?
Yeah.
What's the best?
Give me 2 zippers, one that goes up, one that goes down.
Oh
I don't.
Gosh,
if you show up in our house with a button, you will be dismissed.
Well, you bought me some button pajamas.
We're not talking about what I got you. prior
pajamas.
You're getting some built-in underwear shorts for Christmas, Brandon, because you bought me some button pajamas.
We'll see about that.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, buttons are a pain, especially at 3 a.m. when you're waking up trying to change a diaper, man. It's not fun.
It took all of one time for me to be out on that.
So, Ryan, is there any piece of baby gear that maybe you thought you were excited about, or you were like, you know what, this is going to be great, and then after a couple uses or whatever, you're just like, now, like, it just sits there. It's a waste. It's a paperweight, if you will.
Yeah, the boppy, for sure.
I heard that last week. Someone told me that.
The boppy is probably the most pointless thing ever. And not even for myself, just watching my wife. Like I said, our baby is like 98% primarily breastfed. Like I've given her bottles, but it's maybe a couple a week, if that.
Mm-hmm.
And the boppy's supposed to help her with feeding. It's supposed to help the dad with feeding, just kind of layer on. But like, to be completely honest with you, a regular generic pillow will suffice. It's not worth spending the money on, and we don't use them. I think we had 2 or 3 of them, and they all just sit there.
No, the perfect use for that. It fits with this episode. Just use it as an airplane pillow. Just wrap it right around your neck, because we got the same thing, and I think it spends more time on the floor next to the bed than it does actually being used.
Yeah, well, most definitely.
One thing I'll say on that is, and again, we haven't used one, especially me, but Macy hasn't used one because we don't have the baby yet. But I had a friend that told me that the boppy wasn't very good. They didn't like it, but they recommended something called My Breast Friend. And it's similar, but they were a really big fan of that. So they actually bought us one. So I don't know if you guys have tried that out or looked into it. I don't know if you need to. You might think it's pointless anyways, but that was something that they recommended. They have multiple kids. So we'll see if that works for us. Maybe it won't either, but that is another, I guess, competitor out there to the boppy.
Nope, never heard of that.
Kelsey just bought it.
Of course she did.
Goes, I guess.
Yeah. I'll let you know. I mean,
it's almost to the point for us though. Like, she's almost like sitting straight up when she feeds sometimes. So I don't know if that's just like a small portion of time where she's gonna do that, but a lot of times she likes to sit up. Or the other thing too is like Kaylee has to get up and walk around with her now to get her to feed because like her eyes and stuff are actually starting to work like completely. So she sees things across the room like the TV or me walking, and like she'll turn her head and unlatch. So it's a different type of fight right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like I said, I don't even know if we'll end up using it or if it'll be great, but it was recommended, and so we'll see. And I didn't even know there was a competitor to the boppy because I'd heard so much about it. But every baby's different too. Let's be honest. Some things work for some babies, some don't for others. And same thing with every mom's different. Some moms like certain things and some other ones don't as well.
Absolutely.
So Ryan, keeping on kind of the more fun topics and stuff like that, I guess, as you've kind of gone through it, Brandon's going through this too. We're 2 weeks away from our due date, so we could be any minute away from, the baby being born. What would you say would you be your advice to myself and also any other dads out there that are expecting?
Prepare yourself for a whirlwind of emotions, not just from your wife and the new baby, but from yourself, from your family. Like all these emotions are going to be high strung everywhere, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it isn't necessarily always a good thing either.
Yeah. Yeah, I can already see. I mean, even like yourself and some other friends that have kind of gone through this recently, from
He's talking
afar,
about me.
you and other people, but from afar, you can kind of tell a difference in them, which is pretty cool, and it does affect people, which is great though. That means that obviously you're invested, that it is important to you because it is a life-changing event. And if you really think about it, I mean, obviously marriage is huge, but I would say I don't think there's anything bigger in life than having a child. It changes your life, not just like now, but forever. And especially in those early years, because like you said earlier, Ryan, is they're 100% dependent on you. They can't do anything without you. So
yeah. I mean, they literally will just like they just lay there. They physically cannot do anything. So like taking care of themselves of any sort is fully dependent on a parent or a grandparent. Whether they're there helping out or not. Thankfully, my in-laws are very local and they've helped out quite a bit, so that's been nice too. But yeah, fully dependent.
yeah, and it's like you said, it takes a village. A lot of people say that. So having in-laws, having friends, having support group is definitely huge. I know you've had the same thing, Brandon.
My in-laws are downstairs right now.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
It's honestly, I'm so thankful for the relationship that I have with my in-laws. It's pretty rare, I feel like, to get along with your in-laws as well as I do. It's almost scary.
It's great. Actually, I came in today because it's kind of like a every Saturday thing, and they're very like respectful of like me and like my space. But I think they think that they're being like annoying, and they're not. Like I could care less if they could literally they could be here all day. It don't bother me. One, if it did bother me, we got other rooms in the house. I can just walk into another room. That's how I look at it. But that's not what's going on. But literally, as I was walking in, they said like something to the effect. I think her dad said, "Yep, here we are, here again. I know you're happy to see us." So yeah, I'm like, you guys think about this more than I do. Like you're welcome anytime, and it's providing like relief. Like my wife was upstairs pumping and did not have to have a kid attached to her while she was doing it, which is just is stress relief all the way around.
Well, the other thing too is like you hit on, stress relief. Your wife didn't have a baby attached to her hip when she was trying to pump and
Yeah.
do it a natural thing that a mother's supposed to do and is constantly doing. But like even having them over sometimes with my in-laws being so local, they'll just drop by, and we like prefer them to drop by at the dinner hour so we can actually eat dinner.
Yeah.
Like, just scarf down some food in 15 minutes. And then, the other thing too is if they come over and sometimes we don't feel like cooking, my in-laws always offer to buy dinner. Like it seems like 6 or 7 nights a week, like 6 out of 7 nights a week, they're buying and trying to buy us dinner. We're like, you don't have to every day, but thank you.
That's clutch.
It's funny that you mentioned that because my mother-in-law was over today while I was at work, and I came home and she wanted to check the nursery out and some stuff, but she left us like a little basket that had some things in it, and a couple of things were like gift cards to local restaurants because she's like, I know when the baby's born, you're not going to be able to cook as much or whatever, so for some takeout, for things like that. So that's huge because I was just thinking about that recently. Actually, I'm like, man, it's going to be tough just making food those first few weeks. So her coming over and dropping that off when she didn't have to was definitely clutch. So having good in-laws, I can third that and say that it is huge.
Yeah, it's a blessing without a doubt.
So Ryan, I think you have listened to every one of our episodes. Is that true?
I have.
So, and I don't know if you're like everyone else, but most people say that I absolutely demolish Brandon when it comes to dad jokes. So I only imagine.
I'm funnier in real life. I have to be edited for this.
You hit the nail on the head.
Oh, there you go. There you go. What was the other one, Brandon, that you always say? Because you just said it at work today. Is it without question?
Yeah, without question.
Without question, you hit the nail on the head. But what I'm going to do, Ryan, is I'll let you have a chance because Brandon can't beat me. So I'll give you a chance right now. What is a dad joke that can top me? I didn't even set the bar that high today.
Okay, so I actually have 2 of them.
Perfect.
The first one I can't take credit for. Actually, I got to give a shout out to my brother-in-law who's going to be a dad here in late December, early January. They're hoping December's for that tax cut. So,
exactly.
But the first one is, what does the Eiffel Tower and leeches have in common?
Blood-sucking French.
They're both parasites.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
I like that one.
And then my own is, why did the Scarecrow get a promotion at work?
I don't know.
It was stuffing something.
He's outstanding in his field.
Oh, I think I heard that one before. Now that you said the punchline, that's a good one. I like that.
Both of those are better than yours, Jerry.
That's okay. I'm okay with Ryan beating me. It's just you because, man, I swear, sometimes you throw up some bricks, Brandon, but it's okay. You got to keep shooting. Shooters got to shoot, right?
Yeah. Shout out to Cade Cunningham.
That was direct. I'm glad you got that. That was to my boy Cade.
Put the buffs on.
Put the buffs on.
Motorcade.
So,
that's my
Brandon,
guy.
I'll give you a chance. Let's. Do you got a dad joke for us today? Let's hear
I
it.
love that you're allowing me to do this, Jerry.
I'm allowing you to say a dad joke on your show.
The butt spatula came up earlier, and my joke is appropriate. Did you guys know that diarrhea is hereditary? And do you want to know why?
Sure.
Of course.
Because it runs in genes.
I'm going to go with Ryan with the win today.
Either way, I like
Ryan.
making you uncomfortable, Jerry.
That's a little corny.
What's funny is normally we start the show with put down your baby, pick up a beer, and I made the joke to Brandon recently and said I don't have a beer in my hand enough when we record, so I don't today, but I think you do, Ryan. What are you drinking over there? I
do actually. So I started out with a couple of different. I started out with one that was halfway gone, and watching this Michigan State game is actually driving me to drink. So I just had a Voodoo Ranger, Juicy Haze. And then I switched over to a No Yeah by Bell's. Okay. And this is actually the first time I had a No Yeah, and it's pretty good. I never had it. It's solid. It's smooth.
Well, I'm going to admit something to you that I don't normally admit to a lot of people. As you know, I'm a beer snob. I don't think I've ever had that either.
And I definitely haven't.
It's good. It's good. It's smooth.
I might have to play some catch up when we get off this call because I know Michigan plays a night game today, and And I think we've probably mentioned this in the previous podcast, but Brandon and myself are both Michigan fans, which lately has caused us to drink some. But we're hoping that tonight, a night game, we should get a W. If not, then I might have more than a few of those no yas and whatever else I can find around here.
Yeah, well, for the one time, go green. So I just got to make it known, but also just to make you guys happy, Michigan State's down 21-7 right now. So
it's
it's
early.
looking pretty. Yeah. Well, it's not. It's late in the second quarter, so it's getting nerve-wracking.
You'll be all right.
I think you'll be all right too. Not that I hope that. Michigan and Michigan State playing hockey again tonight too. Michigan won last night 7-2, but we'll see if they can sweep the series tonight. So I am actually a big Michigan hockey fan for those out there as well. Loves me some Michigan hockey. So hopefully they can get some redemption in that rivalry tonight.
For those who are wondering, I am not.
Yeah, Brandon surprisingly does not care about the hockey. I don't know why.
Not in the slightest. Shout out to Jerome McGinley.
You guys probably played backyard baseball, right? Well, they had backyard hockey, and Jerome McGinley was in it, and he was awesome. That's what I think of when I think of Jerome McGinley.
Of course. Hey, you should be a fan of the Red Wings now too, Brandon. They're representing there.
Let's get it. I'm gonna go Google it as soon as we get off this.
Let
this man go watch his football game.
All right. Well, Ryan, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Like you said, it took too long, but we'll have to have you on again sometime. But we appreciate you being on the show. Obviously, when the baby's born, we're gonna have to get Essie together with them. And Bryce, we're gonna be all the dads carrying our babies around the park or something, hanging out, having a beer. But for Ryan and my co-host Brandon, I'm Jerry, and you've been listening to Dad Jokes.
Shout out to Giovanni Smith.